Well, happy Monday! It's time to take a tour of the garden and chat a little bit about what's going on. Well, welcome back. So, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a tour of the garden from yesterday, and we're gonna share with you some planting that we did. And at the end, I'm also going to kind of touch base with you on my thought processes for my fall planting and the different things that you can start thinking about planting for the fall here in the Low Desert Valley. So, if you're ever wondering how we manage to garden in Arizona during this time of the year, this is it. Hanging out in the pool, doing a chore, jumping in the pool, doing another chore and getting back in the pool. That's how we managed to do some gardening in the middle of July in triple-digit temperatures. So now I'm gonna hop out and I'm gonna take you on a little tour of the garden and show you what's going on. We haven't started watering yet, so there's some things that kind of look a little crunchy, but we're just gonna show you how things look because we just show you real life around here. So we're over here at the sweet potato bed, and it's just getting thicker and thicker and crazier. Lots of new growth in here. Looks like the blackout is kind of pushing down on this tomato a little bit because it really should stand up like that. So I might need to find a way to kind of pitch the blackout up a little bit. But you know, as you can kind of see, like right now, it's monsoon time, so that's why everything is whipping and blowing. So that's kind of a struggle that I'm having here, is that sometimes the blackout will get blown off and then it's just laying directly on them. So kind of working with the wind every day is our next little challenge here in the valley. But super happy with this bed. My husband hasn't started watering yet for this evening, so a lot of things really just kind of look really crispy. The Tepary Bean, however, looks really happy. So now the butternut comes all the way to here, and it's like making another journey back this way. So it's made the whole like width of the bed, and there's a butternut right there. I don't know if that got pollinated, but that's how big and crazy that's gotten. This okra is still happy. This non-producer is still not doing anything. And the butternut is kind of working to shade some of the new little plants that are coming in down here. So everything's looking good there. This needs to just be pulled out. See, this wind is whipping. See, this is monsoon time. So if we get in here, inside the wind tunnel, the tomato is just kind of looking sad for the evening. Look at this. Remember we cut this whole thing back? Now it's starting to come back with some leaves there, so that's awesome. Looks like these just kind of dried up on the bud, so that's okay. And this one Armenian over here looks like it's getting pounded by a leaf miner. Little Tepary beans down there are looking pretty happy. A lot of the older watermelon looks dead. This watermelon part looks okay. The baby hasn't really grown anymore, but that's all right. We'll take what we can get right now. The beans back here are finally looking for some moisture, because we really haven't been watering these at all, because if it's not monsoon or any, you're just kind of supposed to let them almost get droopy looking like this. So tonight we'll give them a good soak when we get the dirt wet to plant all of the other beans. Okay, so because of the monsoon, we also had to make some adjustments with the patio tomatoes. First, the shade, because the wind actually blew over one of the buckets the other day by making the shade screen beat against the buckets. So I put a shade cloth up, and I put all 4 buckets over here, but it just wasn't enough. So now I'm kind of trying an experiment where I've moved them over here, so they're just going to kind of get the morning sun, and hopefully they'll get some shade on this side of the house. And then my next is I may move them over there. So I'm going to test this out for a couple of days and see how things go. As soon as we get this bed moistened up here, you're going to get to see us plant. We're going to plant a couple of pumpkins here. we've got a cool ladder over there, if you can kind of see. So that's going to be our frame here for the pumpkin, and then I'm going to do flowers all in between and around that. This thing right here is getting pretty close to being ready. It's got nice color, and like I said, everything's kind of ready for a drink at this time of the day, so we understand that, and we're gonna get them all with a drink. So there's the wind whipping again. Needs a drink. All of the tomato row plants are actually doing kind of okay. They're having to deal a lot with getting tall, getting beat up a little bit. You can also see that they kind of reach a lot for the sun. I just tell my husband they don't know what's good for them because they don't need to be reaching, but I've got to find a way to get this one tied up so that it doesn't get beat so much in the winds. And see, look, I've still got happy tomatoes out here, even though they've got some splits on them, so I can't complain too much. I've got to get this tomato staked up, or I need to tie it to the trellis because it's not happy doing that. The little new loofahs are happy. I think this is a calendula that's just not loving life. And this right here just getting beat up a lot, but this is this side of the bed, and that looks like a new one. This is yeah, these are the two new squashes that we planted, and that one back there is still really happy too. Still, I'm way behind on my chores, so still haven't done the oregano. Keep taking off flowers from the mint. It's happy. The flowers are happy. Bed one is still going absolutely crazy. This week I've got some new things like a gate, and that I'm going to kind of lift up and get more of this off the ground. It's just crazy wild in here. So I still need to get this tomato staked up, but everything in here, you know, is loving life. I've got a cantaloupe back here, but I've come to the conclusion that I want everything to be as, you know, speckled and webbed coloring like the bottom, kind of like more like what we see in the store. I'm gonna go ahead and harvest this big guy right here because I don't want it to start you know, rotting or having a bad life there. This okra is getting happier. Kale is loving life. This little butternut is getting happier. The lettuce is actually coming back in some places, but it's also kind of going to flower. But we've got these other squashes that are happy. The okra is about to make a bunch more babies, and kind of here's that other cantaloupe kind of starting to get there, and so is this one and that one. And this one's kind of struggling, but we're just gonna let it do its thing. And that's the back view. These are all the seeds that we're about to plant. Some more teparies and sunflowers and pumpkins and zinnias. Okay, so May is over here, and what are you planting, May?
I'm planting zinnias.
Right. So she's planting those about 12 inches apart, just about a 1/4 inch deep, and she's running a little pattern along the bricks. Josie's over here filling in some more Tepary beans for us along here in these little holes so that we can get the rest filled out. Now Joe is planting some of these little Maximilian sunflowers, and so we're just going to kind of lightly sprinkle those along the inside of the bed, and then we're going to come and just put a little light compost on the top to kind of settle those in. Now she's just coming back and sprinkling a little bit of compost on top of there just to kind of give those real tiny seeds some kind of coverage. And now Maisie's going to come back and we're going to put some pumpkins on either side of our ladder to trellis up. And we've got a couple more sunflowers that we're going to put in. And now Joe is plugging in some little pumpkin seeds. We're going to put one there, one here. Yeah, cover it up. Push it down in there more, babe. And point the, yeah,
Like that?
Push it down. Cover it up good. This time go a little bit deeper and push your seed in there really good.
Right there?
Yep.
There.
All right, a little update on the patio tomatoes. Like, all-purpose dad totally vetoed like having the plants up here. He said they were just gonna get cooked. So he said pick your favorite, which I picked this one to be here, and then he said let's bring them all over here. So now they just kind of get some dapple sun coming through, and this is probably going to be a better spot. And we're thinking about bringing everybody over there in tomato row over here, because another thing that my husband pointed out is that the wind is not going to beat these plants up so bad. So this might end up being the little tomato zone, but I did just want to show you where they ended up and that I got vetoed. So if we look here at the planting calendar, right here in this August section is what we're going to be really focused on, and the bulk of what goes on actually starts over here on the line with bok choy. So I'm going to kind of cover that up a little bit to give us a field of reference. So then we can see that everything from bok choy, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, Chinese cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, chard, collard greens, and there's even, you can do one more little planting of just regular cucumbers there in the month of August. But all these other things, again, if you look at the August track, are all set to be where you can put a seed in the ground for these plants on August 15th. And then if you get into, you know, the beginning of September, some of these you can still do with seeds, but there's some right here like this, I think that's a cauliflower, yeah, that you're gonna have to do only a transplant. So this would be, you know, either something that you bought at a nursery or something that you had started growing in your house over here. And so even though today I was looking to start soaking some seeds, when I look at the calendar, I mean, this is where we're at today on the 15th. So I've got 2 full weeks here, and I'm looking to get that bed going in almost a month. So it's really like better for me to maybe start soaking seeds this week or this week right here. So I'm gonna hold back on getting that going, but we'll see that soon. But I did just want to share with you you know, what's going on here on the planting calendar. And if we flip it over on the back, the things that are going to be going in the August block there are going to be also like the lettuces, kale, kohlrabi, just kind of from like leeks up to kale. And there's a couple of sprinklings, of course, over here. Got the radishes, rutabaga, and spinach that can also start seeding up in August 15th. So we're going to hold off a week, and this is kind of my thought process, and I kind of want to give you a jump start on things that you can be looking forward to getting ready for your fall garden. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little tour and where I'm at and thinking about what I'm going to plant for the fall. And I'm pretty sure next week is when we'll probably get those seeds soaking. My idea is that if they soak and kind of get their little roots coming out over that last week and a half or so of July, then they'll be ready to move up into some soil, probably the 1st of August, and then they'll hang out for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then be ready to go to their final place in our backyard garden. So I want to thank you so much for coming back every week and checking in on what we've got growing on here, and I hope you are doing your best to deal with this heat and stay cool. I shared with you a little tip on how we do that here in Arizona. So I hope you're staying cool, and I hope you're just keeping your garden going, because we just got about 1 more month and a half or so, and then things will start cooling down and the real fun will start. So I want you to have the best day ever, and we'll look forward to catching back up with you next week.